everybody. Welcome to the 2026 Nostalgia Junkies NFL Mock Draft with Justin. I think this is the 6th or 7th year I'm doing this, so we'll see if I do any better than normal. This draft does not give me confidence. I was telling Wesley this is maybe the toughest draft I've ever tried to mock, personally. I don't have a great feel on it. Usually with a draft, you'll have certain spots that you feel like, I may not know what's going to happen before or after this, but like pick 14, this team is definitely taking this player. And I do not feel that way with this mock at all. Even some of the ones that the professional mockers are doing that I could just copy, I haven't even done that. So I took some swings. I decided against trades this year because I literally either think it's going to be like a ton of trades or like very few, just depending. Actually, if I had to guess, I would say 3 is very possible. 3 is very, if that doesn't happen, and let's say the top 10 is calm, I could see the trades happening in the second half of the draft, maybe going crazy, just because there may not be a lot of separation with some of these players. So it all depends on how these teams perceive them. In my opinion, it's a lot of like B+ players once you get past a certain point. You do have some pillar players, some cornerstone players. I would say those are Caleb Downs, Jeremiah Love, Arvell Reese, David Bailey. I'm trying to think if I'm missing one. I think that's and I would count Mendoza with that as well. So I think those are pretty much the ones. Wide receivers are interesting. A lot of positions are interesting, and it's going to be interesting to see like what order they go in. Some of the things we've been thinking this whole time may not end up happening. So it should be fun to see. For the first 10 picks, I will also say what Wesley picked. Something new I'm doing this year, since Wesley doesn't usually get to be in these with me. I think we've done it a couple times together just for the top 10. So I do have his top 10 and some of his thoughts on that. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. With the first pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Las Vegas Raiders select quarterback out of Indiana, Fernando Mendoza. I like to say this when it's this obvious, but this pick was made not last year, but this pick was made in January, basically. Everybody knew Mendoza was going to be the guy. There was no questioning. The talking heads usually they realize about a week before the draft that they have to actually talk about it, and they have to say, well, what if they didn't take him? Nah. But you get a little bit of that. It's definitely Fernando. I think it's one of the few home runs in this draft as far as team need meets what's available. And so yeah, that's great for that to happen, number 1 overall. Alright, so number 2, well, let me go ahead and say Wesley also had Mendoza going to the Raiders. So no surprises there. Number 2 makes us want to pull our hair out. I know it did me, and then talking to Wesley today, he felt the exact same way because I asked him to send me a top 10, and I think both of our brains were like short-circuiting, and then Wesley tried Chat GPT, and I think Chat GPT also short-circuited trying to come up with who the Jets are taking at number 2. I'll tell you where we're thinking, because I think we're in a similar headspace. We think David Bailey should be the pick because he's more ready-made. He can help you, immediately, we think. And they say he has a high floor. The debate is between him and Arvell Reese, and Arvell Reese is said to have a higher ceiling but a lower floor. So it's more like Reese could be amazing for the next 10 years, but, maybe he doesn't start shining until later in his rookie season, his second year, his third year. Who knows? Who really knows? I think by that logic, the Jets should take David Bailey because I've never heard of this before. They did not have one interception last year. Unbelievable. You know what helps that? Sure, good corner play, but how about pass rush? So you need some type of edge. Both guys can do it, but David Bailey did it way better. So all I'd say, we think it should be David Bailey. I've been looking at the betting markets. I've been listening to guys go back and forth. The Jets canceled their visit with David Bailey, which to me, whether they're taking him or not, makes no sense. Like, why wouldn't you at least take him out to dinner, even if you met him in the pre-draft or the combine, whatever, like, why not do it again just to be sure, especially if you're torn. So I'm like, either they're sure it's Reese, or they're sure it's Bailey, or they're sure that they're trading out. So who knows? For the sake of this, I actually went with a slight majority and the betting market and said Arvell Reese will be the pick at number 2, the linebacker of Ohio State. Wesley didn't give me notes, but I know that he pretty much was tracking along with what I was saying for the most part. And I think the thing Wesley couldn't get over was the canceling the meeting with Bailey, because we didn't understand that. So, I mean, are the Jets, they just don't want to pay for steak or something? I don't know if they are taking him. All right, so we get to number 3. This is where my no trade rule this year, it's not usually a rule. Usually I do predict trades, but usually it really screws me up because it's kind of a crapshoot trying to do that, and then it can mess up your whole draft. So I was looking at my mock draft 2 years ago where everybody knew Marvin Harrison Jr. was pretty much going to the Cards. I started hearing last minute rumors, started getting cute with it, and did all these trade back, trade up, blah, blah, blah. I decided not to do that this time. I'm just going to go with, I do think they could take offensive line, and maybe that's what they should do, but it feels like at number 3 it would be a reach. So it really just depends if you have the conviction to go ahead and take that position of need. Do you trade back and try to get him a little bit later? Or the thing that gives me pause is the teams that need to get up to 3 to, like, say, maybe take Bailey if he's there, or Reese if he's there. They're going to have to give up a good bit, and it seems like the 2027 draft is going to be loaded, and most teams don't want to give up capital for that draft in particular. So, with that being said, honestly, to try to keep this from going off the rails, I said Arizona picks David Bailey at number 3, the edge out of Texas Tech. I think this is a great pick, or a great player. If you come away from this draft with David Bailey, then you've got one of the few jewels, I think, in the draft. Not like a hidden gem, but like, you're almost certain they're going to do well in the NFL. Whereas there's just a lot of good 2s or things like that in this draft. Arizona has pass rush, and they have a lot of needs. That's what gives me pause. But can you really turn down a player like that if you don't trade back? If they could trade back, I'd be all for it. Wesley's thoughts are much more interesting on this because he took the plunge. He has the Chiefs trading up with the Cards to get David Bailey, which I think would be awesome. I think the compensation is they'd have to give up. I don't know if he told me fully what they'd have to give up. I think the Chiefs have 2 first-round picks, so hypothetically they'd probably be giving up both of those. So in Wesley's top 10, he'll have the Cardinals picking at 9. But that would be a bold move, would be interesting. I don't know if the Chiefs... All of a sudden, it felt like they got really old, didn't it? Just all of a sudden, you just realized kind of how old they were. So I don't know if giving up 2 first-round picks is worth it in this case, where you could get 2 quality players when you're still, at your core, a very good team, just a little older. But yeah. So anyways, I won't waste too much time. I'm going to try to speed up a little bit as we go. Once we get out of the top 10, it usually starts going way faster because I have less to say. Number 4, Tennessee. This is another one of those picks that's giving me so much trouble. I'm torn. I'm still torn as I read this. I'm hoping if I am wrong that these next 2 picks just sort of flip-flop and it doesn't mess this whole thing up. I have the Tennessee Titans taking Jeremiah Love, the running back from Notre Dame. They do have Tony Pollard there. I always draw a blank on coaches' names when I'm on the spot on the camera. God, the coach, he was at the Jets and then he's the 49ers, Robert Saleh. They say Sonny Styles could be like his Fred Warner, and that he should take him because he's a defensive-minded head coach. He needs his Fred Warner. He can get Sonny Styles. And Sonny Styles, I actually forgot to mention him, but I think he's kind of seen as one of those cornerstone guys in this draft as well. A lot of Ohio State guys this year. I think that would be fun because the CBS guys absolutely loved it. Rand Carthon, who was the former GM there, said he actually, I think, landed on that same idea that Sonny Styles goes to the Titans. I kind of want it to happen, but I'm going to say Jeremiah Love. Some other guys made a good point that Robert Saleh did have a front row seat to what Christian McCaffrey could accomplish. So either way, Jeremiah Love is one of the best players in the draft, if not the best. So should be fun wherever he goes. Look good in that new Tennessee Titans uniform. Number 5, I have. Oh, I should say Wesley. Wesley actually had the Cowboys trading up to number 4 to take Caleb Downs, and I do think Caleb Downs is absolutely worth it. He's one of those guys in this draft. But in reality, do I think that the Cowboys would still trade up if it's not for an edge guy? I'm guessing not. They could definitely see Caleb Downs is worth it, but maybe Caleb Downs is available a little further down the line. Either way, he had some fun stuff happening. I wouldn't be mad if it happens. It might screw up my mock draft, but it would be fun. I think he put a little comment here too. He said, I guess pretty much if that doesn't happen, definitely Love to the Titans, and then he'd have Downs going on the next pick to the Giants. Anyways, all right, so for my number 5, I have Sonny Styles going to the Giants. John Harbaugh is the coach now. I know he's a special teams background kind of guy, but obviously he always had great defenses in Baltimore. Has a record of taking safeties in the first round, Kyle Hamilton and Malachi Starks. Malachi Starks was just last year. So I could totally see him taking Caleb Downs if he's available, and in my mock he is. The thing that gives me pause is it's the range of these guys. The safety position being devalued. I kind of hate that. Running back, safety, linebacker, all getting devalued when these guys are still game changers. And in a draft like this that's maybe perceived as not quite as strong, maybe you just, who cares? Who cares? I mean, if this safety is a game changer, go ahead and take him. So I was so tempted to put him at number 5 to the Giants, but maybe the Giants just try to do something similar. Daniel Jeremiah loves Sonny Styles to the Giants, but there's a lot of rumors going around right now saying that the Giants don't like Sonny Styles. They don't want him. And I kind of just thought that was suspicious, and I thought he would be a great John Harbaugh pick. So I just went ahead and put Sonny Styles to the Giants. And then, of course, Wesley also had that, Sonny Styles to the Giants. Number 6, another tough one because Cleveland could go in so many directions. Todd Monken's the head coach there now. I know him from his time at Georgia. He was awesome with Georgia. So he's obviously an offensive guy. He was the coach with Lamar Jackson when he got his second MVP and almost got another one. Very close. Actually had better numbers the year he didn't get it. So he did a great job there. Now he's the Browns head coach. He needs a quarterback. It's too early for Ty Simpson. But the quarterback room is crowded at the same time. You have Shador. You have Deshaun Watson's actually still there. And honestly, at this point, they still have Dylan Gabriel. I don't even remember. I don't think they have Joe Flacco anymore. It gets kind of confusing. Anyways, they need a quarterback. Too early for one. They could go offensive line. They could go wide receiver. I went ahead and gave them Carnell Tate just because I think he's the best receiver in the draft. I'll be honest, I didn't really watch Jordan Tyson or Mekhi Lemon. I did see Carnell Tate, though, catching touchdowns like every week. He's, already in state in Ohio. I think it could be really fun. I could see Todd Monken just wanting a weapon to get a spark, get things going for whoever the quarterback is this year, if it's Shador or whatever. And I wouldn't mind seeing that at all. Plus, the Browns have a pick later on. I think just one, maybe 2. I can't remember. And they actually had the first pick of round 2 as well. So Wesley had Carnell Tate going to the Browns as well. He said that's tough, and he could see it either being wide receiver or offensive line. So we're on the same page there. They just need to get that thing built and get it going. I do remember Shador running for his life a lot, so maybe they do go offensive line. Totally feasible. All right, number 7 in my draft, I still have Caleb Downs on the board, so I'm going to let the Washington Commanders take Caleb Downs. They could go wide receiver here. There are scenarios where Jeremiah Love's here, could take him if he's there. I do think it'd be good to support Jaden Daniels, but he's also just so talented that maybe you can focus on the defense. And Caleb Downs is just, he can't sit there too long. It's just going to be, he's just too good. So 7 is getting close to his floor, maybe. I guess I don't think he's getting outside the top 10. Maybe we're just in the primetime spot where he could be picked. At number 7 in Wesley's mock, Love was still there, so he had the Commanders taking Jeremiah Love, which would be so fun to see him and Jaden Daniels if that happened. All right. Number 8, I have the Saints taking wide receiver Jordan Tyson. This guy's stock has really risen lately, and I think I understand. A lot of people think he could be the number 1 receiver in the draft, but you've got that balance. There's always a few players like this every year that the health issues are just such a concern. Thankfully with him, I don't think it's anything long term. It's just availability. Like he's gotten hurt like with something different like every year. So he just had a private workout or whatever. April 17th, from what I understand, looked really good. So some teams have him as wide receiver 1, and with Tate already off the board, had the Saints going ahead and taking him. Saints could be in the market for Caleb Downs if he's there. Could be in the market for, they could possibly take Reuben Bain. So you never know, but possibility. And then Wesley had Reuben Bain going to the Saints at 8. All right, so number 9, we have the Chiefs. I have them staying put, taking Reuben Bain Jr., the edge out of Miami. I think that would be a great pick for them if they don't trade up and get David Bailey or Arvell Reese, whatever. They get a guy who may be just as good. He just doesn't quite have the measurables that the NFL loves. Sometimes I think that's a bit overrated. Sometimes it's not. So remains to be seen. But man, he was a beast in the playoffs. He was fun to watch. Him and his teammate, who we'll talk about a little bit later. Wesley had the Cardinals ending up here from the trade with the Chiefs, and he had them taking Francis Maui-Noa. Wesley did say he feels like the Cards will take Maui-Noa either way, whether they're at 3, 9, whatever. I don't totally disagree with that. It's just a matter of, do you just go ahead and get your guy? Is it a reach? And who cares? Maybe that's just what they do. And that is not a bad thing, I don't think. Not this year, anyways. All right, so next, it was the Bengals, but because of the recent trade with Dexter Lawrence, the Giants actually have their second pick in the top 10, and I have the Giants taking this one. I'm not confident at all. I was kind of looking at team needs. Like, they could use a tackle. They could go Maui-Noa. It seems like they really needed a guard, and one of the guys that, as I heard the experts talk about him, I found extremely intriguing, was the offensive guard from Penn State. I'm going to butcher his name. I'm trying my best. I think it's Ioane. The spelling looks so different than that. Anyways, he's a beast. He's not been playing football that long, I don't think, and he's just like huge. And I guess I'm just assuming he's a natural guard. I don't know if there's any potential switching around the offensive line, but they absolutely could go Maui-Noa. If I had this to redo, I may even go Maui-Noa, but for now, we'll just say that they just need to get that offensive line better. If Caleb Downs was there, boy, I'd be tempted to take him. I also heard they love Jordan Tyson, so my thought is, don't be terribly surprised if Jordan Tyson doesn't go at 5. It just doesn't feel like a John Harbaugh pick to me. It feels like something that could be a bit of a reach or a risk. I think if he's sitting there at 10, that could definitely be the pick. But for now, I've got offensive guard for Penn State going to the Giants. And then the last one for Wesley, for that pick, he had Jordan Tyson going to the Giants. So Wesley definitely wouldn't be surprised if that happens. All right. So now from here on out, it's just mine, and I'll try to speed things along. At number 11, we have the Miami Dolphins taking Francis Maui-Noa. This is a very popular place to put a wide receiver. Could totally see that. You still have Mekhi Lemon on the board. So I think it gets tricky with the wide receiver. That's one of those positions where there's maybe a lot of B-plus guys and not a clear top shelf guy. So you could absolutely see wide receiver, and I don't doubt that the Dolphins don't hit wide receiver as much as they can in this draft. But I did hear some arguments for taking offensive line, and that makes sense too. The Dolphins are maybe one of the teams in most desperate need of just talent. Also heard it'd be very smart for them to trade back. Couldn't agree more. Accumulate as many picks as you can. They do have a lot of picks, though, in the first 100, like something like 6-7 picks in the first 100. So that is good, and that'll help. So if they don't do any of that, could go wide receiver, could go offensive line. I had them taking Francis Maui-Noa just because he was available in this one. If he's not, I would say maybe Mekhi Lemon there. Number 12, we have the Dallas Cowboys taking Mansour Delane, the best name in the draft. Top corner as well, cornerback from LSU. So that could definitely help with Dallas's secondary woes and their just overall defensive woes, and don't get into so many shootouts. Number 13, one of the more interesting picks because the Rams just very well may not sit here. But for the sake of this, I have the Rams sitting here at 13, and I have them taking Mekhi Lemon, the wide receiver out of USC. So he'd basically be staying home. I think this is a luxury pick for the Rams if they stay put. They're all in for this year. They need weapons. You know, they pretty well have most of their holes filled. They use free agency, I think, to help on the defensive side, like with corner. So it's just a luxury pick. They could maybe even see. I wonder if this may be the earliest possibility for Kenyon Sadiq as well. I've heard him mentioned with the Chiefs, though, so maybe he does have a little bit of a higher spot. But just some type of weapon. I have them taking Mekhi Lemon. In reality, he may not even be here at this point. All right. Number 14, I have Baltimore. And this one is probably the one I would circle, saying I'm one of the least confident in this pick. Usually when I do a mock draft, it's so funny, like a clear standout player will fall to the Ravens just like in real life. And this year I did multiple versions of it, and sometimes like Ruben Bain would fall, and then the more I think about it, nah, Ruben Bain's not going to be there. Someone's going to get him. So it'd be funny if that really happened. But in this scenario, I went with Jermod McCoy, the cornerback from Tennessee. I've heard really good things about him. He's very fast. He's just very, very good. Problem is health concerns. Maybe he's not moving quite normal. I did hear something about maybe he needed another surgery or something. Could be career altering. Man, I hope I'm wrong. I hope that does not happen to that young man. If that is the case, he definitely probably won't be seen anywhere near this spot. But when I did this, I didn't know that. So for the sake of ease, I'm just going to keep it here. Jermod McCoy, cornerback, Tennessee, to the Baltimore Ravens. Number 15, I have Tampa Bay taking one of my personal favorite players in the draft. I think he's one of the most intriguing players. The problem with this guy is his age. Keem Mesidor, edge Miami to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So he's 25 years old and maybe is going to turn 26 at some point during the season or at the end of the season, something like that. This guy was all over the field just like Ruben Bain, and maybe sometimes outshined Bain a little bit during that playoff stretch from the Miami Hurricanes. It was fun watching those guys. I actually didn't know he had advanced age. Yeah, dude's 25. He's a fossil. But the logic most guys say in the draft circles makes sense is that it would make sense for him to go to a team that's pretty well playoff ready because you have a window and he'd be ready to contribute right away. But, you know, his prime may only be like 5 years. So, I don't know. I think that's a little ageist personally. But I think it'll be fun to see where Mesidor lands. Excuse me. Number 16, we have one of the guys who was widely seen as one of the top guys in the draft and still is. I kind of see him in mocks going all up and down the draft board, but he's a physical freak, and you can't ever underestimate that, even if he's inconsistent sometimes. I have the New York Jets with their second pick taking Caden Proctor, the offensive tackle out of Alabama. I don't know if tackles their biggest need at this point or not. I think they need some offensive line help. The Jets have a lot of needs. They're just one of those teams that have a lot of needs, but just kind of had that going there. I think maybe they split the difference, like one picks defense, one picks offense. We'll see. But for now, that's what I have. Detroit Lions at number 17. I have them taking Spencer Fano, the offensive tackle out of Utah. This guy is also, it's so hard to differentiate. Like, I don't know which guy's going to go first, second, third. It gets crazy after Maui Noah. Anyways, I think Detroit could use an offensive lineman. I can't remember who it is. Someone retired and came back. I don't know if he stuck around or what. But they could definitely use that. So I don't feel terrible about that one. Even if it's a different tackle, at least I had the right idea. At number 18, I had Minnesota. This one's probably a reach. Excuse me. This one, I know they really like this guy. Feels like no defensive tackles are first round worthy from what most people are saying, except I have the Vikings taking one anyways, have them taking Peter Woods out of Clemson. To my understanding, the dude had a completely stellar 2024, but I'm guessing he was like a sophomore and had to come back for another year. For whatever reason, didn't have the same production this last year. Some people say it's because of he tried to thin up a little bit and maybe it backfired. I don't know the reason exactly. I do know his name, certainly. But if he lives up to that 2024 potential and someone needs a defensive tackle, I mean, the top defensive tackle is still on the board, and it may be him or Cade McDonald. but he's there, and it's just a premium position. That's the thing. It gets promoted because it's a premium position. Okay. Next, we have the Carolina Panthers. I have them taking Kenyon Sadiq, the tight end out of Oregon. This is one of the more cool players in the draft. Going to be fun to see where he goes. If he's with the Panthers, that helps Bryce Young. And then they can develop him and just continue to help that offense. Number 20, we have the Dallas Cowboys taking Dylan Thieneman, safety out of Oregon. A lot of people have him going to the Vikings at 18. I could absolutely see it. I say Harrison Smith's going to go, but he may actually be back next year. I'm not sure. But that feels like a good pick for the Cowboys, too, if he's there. So, number 21, Pittsburgh Steelers. This is where you could maybe start thinking about Ty Simpson. I think that could heavily depend on what Aaron Rodgers does. If I'm not mistaken, the Steelers still don't have an answer on his future, so it could happen here. And the fun thing about that is it could spark trades because people trying to get in front of people in line. I don't know. I feel like Pittsburgh usually, they did have the Kenny Pickett pick a few years ago. For right now, though, I'm just going to say they stick and take Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, the safety out of Toledo. Some good safeties in this first round. For the time being, that's just what I'm going to go with, and I'm going to say they don't get too excited, but we'll see. All right, number 22, the LA Chargers. I have Keldrick Falk, edge out of Auburn. At this point, you're just looking around saying, hey, we need the best edge available. This guy's probably getting drafted a bit higher than some other mocks, but I feel like there's just inflation in the edge. You know, when it comes to like left tackles, quarterbacks, edge, they're probably just going to get elevated. So at number 23, I have the Philadelphia Eagles taking Monroe Freeling out of Georgia. This guy's draft stock has really, really risen over the course of the process. He's another physical freak. Huge guy. He still doesn't have a ton of starts under his belt, so he's getting better and better. And I know Philly likes the Georgia boys, so I think that would be a fun pairing if it works out like that. They also could go wide receiver here, so because I know there's some rumors going around about the wide receiver Brown being traded to the Patriots if that ends up happening. All right, so number 24, we have Cleveland again, and right here I have them taking wide receiver Denzel Boston. And as I say that, I'm realizing I should have went offensive line, but it's too late now. So I guess they're just doubling up on wide receivers for Todd Monken. I definitely should have undid that one, but hey, good for Shador, man. Good for Shador. All right, so 25, we have the Chicago Bears taking Caden McDonald, kind of similar to what I said about Peter Woods. He's 1A or 1B with those two guys, and this is a little better positional, well, in the draft, positional value for this guy, because he could go round 2, but maybe not because it's just such an important position. So Caden McDonald to the Bears. Number 26, have the Buffalo Bills. I'm torn here because it feels like they need a wide receiver, and the fans really want a wide receiver, and there's going to be riots if they don't take a wide receiver. And sometimes when I'm thinking about it, I'm like, they probably won't go wide receiver, but then I'm like, you know what? Forget that. Let's go wide receiver, and I think the best one available right now is Casey Concepcion, the wide receiver from Texas A&M. I remember he was a big-time playmaker, did a lot of good stuff all throughout the year. So let's just give them their wide receiver. All right, so number 27, we have the San Francisco 49ers taking Caleb Lomu, the offensive tackle out of Utah. Not much to say about that one. It just seemed like need met pretty much value, and I just went with that. Number 28, we have the Houston Texans taking, I should have looked up how to say this. I think it's Chase Bisontis, offensive guard out of Texas A&M. This is very well likely a second-round guy, but for the sake of this, it just seemed like the need was there. It was kind of tough to pick for the Texans. I actually had a hard time with it. I think there was just no other obvious person. Maybe they're a team that trades back. Who knows? At number 29, I have the Chiefs taking Colton Hood. So in this scenario, they get Bain and Hood, so that would really help the defense. While Andy Reid could probably go ahead and just keep working on the offense. They could use second round, whatever. And I just have confidence Andy Reid can help so much with offense just with scheme alone. Plus, you got like maybe the second best quarterback of all time on your roster. Let's see. So I said Colton Hood, cornerback out of Tennessee, to the Chiefs. Okay. Number 30, we have the Miami Dolphins. Okay, so we do have the Dolphins again. And I have them taking Omar Cooper Jr., the wide receiver at Indiana. If they skip Lemon early on or whoever's available, it would make sense for them to come back to wide receiver here. I do think it could flip-flop. They could go wide receiver early and then try to get an offensive lineman down here. Maybe Lomu is right there. Maybe they take him. But who knows? I remember Omar Cooper Jr., he got that game-winning touchdown pass at Penn State for Indiana. So that's my main memory of him. Haven't seen a whole lot of other tape from him, but I'm sure he was the one playmaking all year long. Number 31, we have the New England Patriots. I have them taking Zion Young, the edge out of Missouri. At this point, these guys could be like end of round 1, early second round, who knows, but I just think edge is too important. So I see this guy getting mocked more often than not. And then at number 32, what I would love to do here is for the Cards to trade back in and get Ty Simpson, because if they get the quarterback in round 1, they get that 5th-year rookie option down the road, whereas they take him top of the second, they don't get that. So it may be worth it for them to do that, because they'd only be moving up like 2 or 3 spots. If they don't, though, like I said, I wasn't going to do trades with this. I have the Seahawks taking Keelan Rutledge, the offensive guard out of Georgia Tech. I kind of forgot that his draft stock was really elevating. So I kind of just looked at team needs and I saw that they had that spot. A lot of people have Price, the running back from Notre Dame, going there. Or, like I said, maybe trading out. Wouldn't be surprised by any of it. Maybe they have a luxury pick since they lost Kenneth Walker. And you could replace him with probably the second best running back in this draft. So that pretty much does it. I feel like I went long-winded this time. I need some water. It's 2 in the morning on a work night. But I love the draft. Even in a year like this where the Falcons don't have a first-round pick, I'm a Falcons fan. A lot of teams don't have first-round picks this year. A lot of teams have doubled up. And a lot of teams are building towards next year, I think. So we'll see how it all works out. Going to be fascinating if Ty Simpson goes in the first round or waits till the second. I didn't have him going, but that's just because I think I have it in my head that he's going to the Cardinals, and I didn't want to do trades, and I really don't think there's any way he would go at 3. So should be fascinating. Steelers, Jets could put pressure, and the Browns could put pressure on them. I do think the Browns have to look at it, but I just feel like their quarterback room's crowded right now, so maybe they're looking at 2027 for their guy. Anyways, that's about all for me. We'll see how good or terrible I do. Maybe one of my worst years ever, but the only thing I'm confident in is Mendoza going at number 1. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next one.